My name is Mark Agate. I am the writer, director, producer of Lake House Whisper, which is released through Stab Movies' YouTube page. I also play Troy in that movie. That movie was my first real attempt at putting a thing that wasn't just me together. You had me, Dave Allen, William Veras, Ryan Harms, Sidney Atkin, Ron Young. My little brother played a stunt double in that as the killer. His name's Christopher Jakes. The bulk of that movie, 50 pages, 55 pages, was filmed in 2 days, which is a very heavy load to get done in 2 days. I think I had 4 hours of sleep in the 2 nights that we were there. I was exhausted. That was a heavy burden. So I learned from that movie, and I'm never going to do something like that ever again by myself, or not even by myself, with a very limited crew.
Hey, I'm Dave Allen, and I played Brian in Lake House Whisper. This film technically is now part of the Stab Movies library. It was originally Mark's production. He wrote the whole thing, he got us the location, he cast everybody through auditions, with the exception of me, just because we were friends. He knew he wanted me in it. And I think the guy who played Phil was also a friend of his that he wanted in it. So we basically went up to Maine to shoot this thing. Mark wanted it to be a feature. It ended up running a little less than an hour.
We went up to my grandmother's camp to film that. It was in Poland, Maine. I think the surrounding area really set up well for the movie because it had the secluded feel to it.
So we went out there, and Mark had written the script, and he really had a lot of things that he wanted to do. Well, the first thing that he did was he brought food to all of us, not realizing that one of the actresses he cast was a vegetarian. So that was like the first fail. But we got through that. We went and he rebought and stuff, and everything was working out.
I might be a dickhead director. I don't know if it's because of how stressed I was throughout that whole thing, but I think I might be an asshole. Yeah, that's just plain and simple. I was told I wasn't an asshole, but I think I was. That was a long 2 days. That was a really long 2 days. The actresses on that movie were absolutely phenomenal. They nailed their scenes 100%. I couldn't have asked for a better casting, and also I couldn't cast anybody else because nobody else showed up to the auditions. I had people send in video auditions, but nobody came to the in-person casting except for Ryan and Sydney. So I had to go off video auditions and in-person auditions, and honestly they put in the time to come down and audition, and they killed it. They absolutely killed it. I think that casting was perfect for both of them. Will, who played the killer, along with actress Sydney, was also a killer. I pretty much wrote the parts for the 3 guys that were in it. Dave was in it. He was like a hopeless romantic. He ends up proposing to his girlfriend, who was played by Ryan. He wants to propose to his girlfriend, who was cheating on him with Phil. Real nice. Oh, and Phil was dating Sydney.
We actually called in this guy, Ron Young, who's a pretty big deal in the Boston scene because we work all throughout New England, so we got him to come up and play a sketchy character, and I mean, this was definitely different. I feel like the fact that I care about Mark and that we're good friends is what helped make this film happen. That and the fact that we were able to do nearly the entire film at the lake house that Mark happens to have through his family's uncle or something. We got to film the entire movie in one weekend there, and then just a couple of extra scenes that we got finished in one day down in Gloucester, Mass. with Mark. A lot of car stuff and like an outside the apartment scene or something like that. And that day we also did the ADR too, which if you don't know, that's when we actually record the vocals or the voices in studio, because the sound that we took while we were filming doesn't sound too good. And if you think about that, when you watch even big productions, you can see when that happens. Like when there's a shot behind an actor's head and they're saying stuff, but you can see that the actor's mouth isn't moving. That's kind of what happens there.
I just remember being really tired during the whole filming process. We ended up doing a scene out on the water. We were out in the middle of the lake in kayaks. I was filming this scene with my iPhone that I had at the time, and I had like lenses and stuff to put on the iPhone, but the sound ended up not coming out right. And the day of filming we did, I ended up doing ADR for all of that. Ended up having to cut a whole scene out of the movie because the sound was just terrible.
It's a good story. It's a really good story. Like, Mark did a great job writing. I feel like me as an actor, it wasn't my strongest performance. I feel like I went a little too far. I didn't really figure out what the character was like, you know, so I went a little too goofy with him, and I didn't have to.
That's another movie that had a lot of blood and throat slits and stuff like that. I ended up doing a really sweet SFX makeup on Ron. He got his throat slit, and there's a couple pictures of it, and that thing looks gruesome, man.
I might be mistaken, but I believe Josh helped him out with editing, definitely helped him out with the background music. You hear a lot of Josh's original tracks in the film, so that worked out. And then just for the sake of how YouTube works and getting views and everything, it ended up getting thrown in to the Stab Movies productions, even though Josh didn't really have anything to do with the actual production of the film, minus a little bit of help afterwards in the post-production part. So this was really Mark Haggett's thing. I think Deadly Sins Productions was what his company's called.
So as StabMovies.com Productions' involvement in Lake House Whisper, obviously they released it through their YouTube page. Josh ended up helping me out doing the score of the movie. He gave me a lot of sound bites and music that I could put into it, and that's all the music that you hear. I think I scored a little bit of it, but that was like one of the first scenes, and other than that, I don't think much of my score got left in there, because what he gave me was very fitting. Also, if it wasn't for Josh, there would have been a lack of opening scene. So the opening scene in the movie is a dream sequence where my character is thinking about this faceless, so we're just sitting down drinking beers, watching a movie, and the Phil character ends up walking to go get another beer or to take a piss or something like that, and he ends up getting his face cut and pulled off by this person who has no face, or he actually kind of looked like Freddy Krueger-esque. And then my character turns the corner, sees him as he's pulling off Phil's face, and then I end up getting stabbed in the face, and that's when I wake up, and then we pull into the movie. My favorite part about filming that is probably my least favorite part about filming that, to be honest with you. My favorite part about filming that was actually being able to put something together fully and bringing it from start to finish. Regardless of the quality, I think it is. I think the storyline is really well done. I think it's entertaining. If you're looking for something to watch that tricks your mind a little bit, I think that would be something. It's an entertaining story. I didn't enjoy the quality of film that I brought to it. There are a few scenes that just, there were some that weren't in focus, and it was a time crunch. To be honest, like if I had 2 weeks to film that whole movie, it would have came out a lot better. I would have had a lot more production value into it, but I just didn't have that. So yeah, like I said, my favorite part about it is my least favorite part about it, because there were issues with the movie. There were some scenes that I was in, or I wasn't filming, that wasn't filmed exactly how I wanted it, but I just couldn't. I didn't really have the time to reshoot, or I mean, I had to put my trust in other people. My little brother did a lot of the filming, and that was the first time he ever got behind the camera, and I think he did a great job for the scenes that he did. He killed it, because initially we were going to have Greg film most of it, but there was a misunderstanding of how much experience he had behind the camera. He has worked on other sets before, but he never worked behind the camera. That ended up being an issue during the filming. Just, you know, I had to teach two people how to film instead of, you know, whatever. So I ended up filming a lot of it. My little brother filmed a lot of it, and Greg filmed, I think he filmed 2 scenes.
So, you know, I wasn't really proud of my performance throughout the film, but there were a couple of scenes that I really enjoyed. Once again, at the end of this movie, I die, and as I'm laying there on the couch, now, at this point, we must have been filming for 20 hours straight or something like that. We were all exhausted, we were all tired, which was great, because that's really how I'm feeling as I'm dying. So I remember just laying there, I'm spitting blood out, I'm stabbed through the stomach or whatever, and I'm just laying there, and I remember I'm no longer trying to remember the script or think of the script. I remember as the killers are talking to me, because this is the big reveal of who they are and everything. As they're talking to me, I remember that I ad-libbed something to them. I can't remember exactly what the line was, but I added it, and that actually worked perfectly in the film. So probably my favorite thing about this, minus, you know, just getting to make something else with my friend, was that scene towards the end, when we're most exhausted, was when my character finally seemed most real and most believable. And right before that too, when the killer comes in and I believe all my friends are dead, and the killer comes to confront me, and there's just this one shot where I'm like pissed, I've had enough. In the movie and in real life, I'm pissed, I've had enough, and I'm ready to just smash the character with like a cribbage board or something stupid like that. And there's a shot, and I remember when we're watching it, because this one did premiere in the movie theater, I remember as I'm watching it, that like 2-second shot, I was like, wow, I'm so badass. But earlier in the film, Mark had accidentally struck the killer with something, like the shot was supposed to be, you know, he hits him. Well, Mark really did hit him, and he felt so bad. So here, I'm supposed to swing the cribbage board, and the killer's supposed to stop me. But I was so afraid of hurting him that, like, my swing was super weak. So in the movie, the way that it's edited together, it looks like, wow, super badass, let's go. And then, you know, like I'm super weak all of a sudden. Which, I mean, technically, I don't know, I feel like if Mark hadn't hurt him before, maybe I really would have gone for it, and hopefully he would have been able to stop me, probably would have, but, you know, I kind of backed it off there a little bit. It was a great job by Mark. It was his first major production, you know, the way that everybody who was cast actually showed up every day to shoot. You know, we had a couple people that helped us out. Greg, who we met earlier on a different film that we did. Mark's brother was helping out a lot. It was great to have Ron come out all the way from Boston. And I'm not sure where the actresses were from, but I know that they traveled a long way. You know, so everybody made the commitment and they stuck it out, and we got through it. Could have been better, but, you know, we had a deadline, we had a time limit, we weren't able to reshoot a lot of scenes. So, you know, it is what it is. It ended up coming out pretty good. I wish I could have done a couple of my scenes over, but all in all, it was a good production.
So if I were to suggest anything for anybody, if you're going to go into a film, if it's not going to be a very low budget short film, like keep it under 10 minutes, if you keep it under 10 minutes, you can probably get away with having a 3-person crew. You got a camera guy, sound guy, and somebody just to do the bitch work, to be honest, like set up lighting and whatever. But other than that, don't try it if you want the quality to be decent. If you just want to do something, go ahead. Feel free. Be the director, be the cinematographer, be the writer, be the main actor. Be everything you want to be. And you will get what you put into it. No, you won't get what you put into it. You're going to put a lot into it, and you're not going to get what you want out of it. You might think that you got what you want out of it. You know what? It doesn't really matter. If you want to film something, go film it. Let your heart's desire just take over and do everything. Because honestly, you don't learn unless you just trial by fire. Hey, 2 + 2 is 4, right? What if it was 5? Well, it's not 5. Well, how do you know it's not 5? Because somebody told you that it wasn't 5, and then you figured it out, right? All right. If you want to check me out on Instagram, my handle is Mark_Haggett. That's MARK_HAGGETT. I released a movie called Batman One Final Joke. That thing's stellar. Go check it out. You can just type in Batman One Final Joke and it's going to pop up.